Hey everybody, John Gibson. Thanks for joining us. I am the SVP of all things third-party originated at Flagstar, and I'm really excited for what I'm calling my tableside chats to have our next guest with us because I love a lot of things that she specializes in, but the one thing we're going to be talking a lot about today, she is what I can consider to be a subject matter expert, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hello everybody, my name is Marlene Ruiz. I'm an account executive for Flagstar now. It's going to be 15 years this year come in October. It seems like forever. And I work in the Miami-Dade Broward area of Florida.
That's right. So you heard me say in front of you, I'm really excited about you being here and sharing some thoughts and some tips and some things that have worked for you over time. And it's really around that whole topic of relationships, building relationships, how you stay in touch with a client. So my first question for you is, over that time period that you've been at Flagstar, how have you been able to maintain what you do to develop successful relationships? What do you think the keys for you are?
Definitely relationships. I mean, I get to know them more better on a personal level.
Yeah.
Become friends with them. I mean, most of my clients, they're over 10 years. So I work on building that personal interaction, relationship, touch them in every way possible, phone, text, let's go to lunch, let's do a training. So that's how I develop my relationships over time. They build trust. Trust doesn't come overnight. No. So it's something you have to work on every single day, and you got to prove yourself. Right. And once you prove yourself and you gain their trust, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it gets better from that point forward, right? The relationship continues to evolve. So if you were new, like say business partner, or not even business partner, let's look at it this way, new loan officer in an account that you have an established relationship with, they hired somebody. Just for giving some people some advice, what would you do to get to know that person, right? We talk about relationships, but let's say you have no experience with them, no history, brand new LO. What are some of the things that you do to figure out who they are and get to understand like what makes them tick?
Okay, so what I do is I try to give them some education. Yeah. So I'm vested in the business, the industry, get to know the world around that we live, everything that affects them and our business, and kind of go into education mainly. So I would say, if you're starting new, I would say get vested, learn the business, not just Flagstar and the tools and our site and our programs, etc. Just learn everything that is around Flagstar and everything that's happening, so that way you can educate them. And then once they see that there's value that you bring other than Flagstar, the products, the service, the technology, then you could go in, full arms and just get them that way. So I go straight for education. Yeah. That's my specialty.
So one of the things you were talking about is you use education as part of really helping build that relationship. If you were talking to a brand new account executive in the industry or a brand new LO in the industry and they were going out to develop relationships, what do you think would be that advice around educating people that you would give to, let's say, like a brand new loan officer, right? Who's now you personally trying to develop the relationship with them so you do business with them, but thinking about it from their perspective, purchase market, going to need to build realtor referrals. How would you educate them? Like, what guidance would you give them?
I would say get vested into this business. Learn the business well. Learn everything that's not just about Flagstar, the service, the products, the technology, your greatest back office that you could do, but teach them the business, tell them what's going on in the world and what's surrounding their loans, their business, what affects their productivity. Sure. Bring that value add education to them, and they will love you, they will trust you, you gain their respect and the rapport. Yeah. And once you build that, it just continues to grow.
Well, I know you're heavily vested in a lot of like what I call the local, I almost want to say associations, right? So like the realtor events that take place, the different associations, is that something you've educated people on? Like when you say be vested, like you got to be where your business, where your referral partners are, right? Is that something you've helped people do?
I always say, be where your customers are. So I do teach them. I participate in these events. I am a board member. Was a board member for the FAMP, which is a local in Florida for mortgage professionals. And I'm also vested in the Mortgage Bankers Association on the board as well. And when I can, I do try to be part of the events that they do. I educate my customers, bring them on to these events, and even participate in a few of them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I wanted to ask you the question and dive deeper, because I know you do that stuff, right? So it's not just the time that you're investing in your business partners and your business, but it's what you're investing into the industry to help educate people. And I think that's where it makes a difference, right? That's where you meet so many connections and you build referral relationships over time. And it leads me into my next question for you. And look, you introduced yourself and how long you've been in it, and you've been doing it for longer than that. I'm sure you got a couple examples, but just think of can you walk us through one that is just such a good success story from you, from building a relationship with a client to maybe where it lasts to this day type of thing?
So I would say my success has really been when I've taken a broker and converted him to a banker. I've educated him how to use their LOSs and convert that same transition from broker to correspondent, how they do business today as a broker, and how it would change if they become a lender. And I also walk them through, so I do sweat with them, I do walk them, I hold their hand, we learn LOSs together, I show them the differences. You got to learn their business, their structure, how they do business, and how they generate their loans, so that way you can educate them on what to do next and how it would be different making that transition. So whether it be a broker to banker, a broker to correspondent, whether it's with our line or not with our line. I try to sell our line.
Yeah.
And
yes, you do.
and most of my clients that are tenure with us more than 10 years have our Flagstar line. There's a lot of benefit to that. So I do show them the benefits that our line has, and I educate them on what the differences are, and so that they can grow, and they grow with me and with Flagstar.
Well, and I think that's the key, right? And we've talked about it before, when you're working with Flagstar, and I think it's important. Business partners have choices, right? And especially in the marketplace that we're in moving forward, when you start looking at some of the things that we provide, and you talk about moving into a correspondent, you talk about having the ability to have a warehouse line, there's a lot of efficiencies and things that they pick up. So it's good to hear you say that, because obviously I know your book of business, and you've developed those relationships over time. I got to ask you about what I also think you're a subject matter expert in at Flagstar from a marketing perspective. Talk a little bit about what you do to keep yourself in front of your clients from a social media perspective, from a marketing perspective, because I've seen some of the stuff you do, and it's phenomenal. So I want you to share it with everybody.
So not alone just the products and the marketing of our products, but you also want to emphasize on the service levels. So let's say turn times are great. Leverage that. If there's something that is going on right now in the market. Maybe it was the refi boom in the past. Maybe now it's focusing on purchases. So find something like an article. I do a lot of sharing of articles, and then I just put my 2 cents in there, and they do like it. So, and because you know their business, you're able to kind of say from their point of view, hey, remember we talked about this? I'm going to tell you about this. I actually shared it recently, and send them the article, send them a piece of information where you can educate them, give them some value, and then they say, you know what, Flagstar, that's my girl, because of, XYZ. She knows so much. I'm, bringing that Bible, the mortgage Bible, to them, and they love that. I'm their mortgage guru, gal.
That's right. I'd be remiss to not ask you this as we close. In all your tenure at Flagstar, in the industry, why do you think it's beneficial, or I should rephrase it this way, why do you think a business partner who's not doing business with us today should?
Well, number one, we are a bank. We're not, we're not a broker shop, we're not a correspondent. We are a bank. So if you're a broker, we are the bank in your office. If you're a correspondent, we're your investor. And you know what? We're also a servicer, so we're servicing your clients. So it's kind of we're not going to go anywhere, and we're going to give you that repeat business and that repeat book of business. If there's a potential for you to, let's say, in arm switches, to the term, or if there's an opportunity for rate savings, etc. We also give you that too. So that's just relationship. It's branding you so that you can bring that business back to Flagstar. So yes, we are your banker. We want to be your bank in your office.
That's awesome. Well, Marlene, thank you so much for taking the time. I certainly appreciate it. And again, thank you. Obviously, Marlene, been with Flagstar for a very long time. A lot of words of wisdom, I think, on building relationships, maintaining relationships, how she uses social media today to help her do that and continue to educate her clients. So thanks again, appreciate it.